Thank you very much, everyone, and good afternoon. My name is Emilio Paramo, and here with me is Mr. Leo Charpentier. For Novatech, I work for DAK. The topic today is the value-driven control system migration, and basically that's the fancy title. But the real word is, what did we do in order to justify the investment for migrating our control system down at the site? And let me tell you something. Are you thinking about replacing your process control system the last weeks, months? Well, this is our story on how we did it in DAK. I'm going to talk to you about justification, what the management expects from you, what surprises might be when migrating control systems. As I mentioned before, I work for this company, DAK. We in Mexico, DAK, DAK, we manufacture PET. This is the plastic resins for bottle containers. We produce 180,000 metric tons a year. And we are part of a bigger company conglomerate called Alpec. And at this point, you might not know Alpec or DAK, but Alpec is the petrochemical branch of a bigger company called Alfa. And Alfa is a bigger Mexican company conglomerate. The changing or migrating control systems, of course, is a big challenge, and these are the challenges we faced. Since control systems are usually the core of the operations, it's the brain of the operations. We had a system that was installed 20 years ago, very reliable system. Not a single failure on the production side was due to the DCS. And I'll tell you something about that later. That is a good thing, of course, is reliability. But when you're trying to justify investment, sometimes that might play on the opposite side. And I'll tell you about this later. We were close to the end of life, of course. And the main requirement from operations was to perform any migration with the minimum downtime. So those were the three major challenges we faced. This is the milestone, the timeline, sorry, that we went through from the first time we realized, you know what, we need to migrate this system until the point that we start the operations up using the new system. That took us 21 months in total. And this tells you something. If you are about to initiate the justification and the presentations, please consider that it's not going to happen overnight. You better start doing something now. And these are the major milestones we went through. As I said, we identified there was a risk of doing nothing, remaining with the same reliable system. We collected data. We made a lot of presentation to management. And tell you what, management is really hard to convince. And they have valid reasons. They want to hear everything in terms of money, production, not going very technical in details, but just speak in terms of US dollars and production losses. We made a risk assessment analysis, and we identified three very urgent situations. And that's where the justification was based on. It was a potential for force majeure. We had a potential for losing production for 11 working days. And that's what the next equation came from. Is there a laser here? Yeah. This equation here, oops, I don't see it. Yeah. This equation here shows how much we will be losing in monetary terms, and this is the equation that convinced top management for DAK. As I mentioned before, speak in terms of dollars and production loss. This equation is based in 11 days of productivity loss, and I told the top management, you know what, if we don't do nothing, we might lost this amount of millions of dollars in sales and this marginal contribution. And of course, there is a potential risk for losing customers and not compliance with contracts and not consuming raw material as well. We made a significant effort to sell the project to the management. And I mention this because we went from the local management in our facility to the very top managers. And when I'm saying very top is, I said, there's a friend of mine said, you know what, I went to the CEO, and above that, I went to the king. It was not only the CEO. This is how the process control architecture it was before, I mean, a year ago. And this is only to show you the situation that we were facing. We had limited support in this part of the control system and obsolescence all over the other components. This was our prior system. The reliable, the 20 years old reliability system, this is what it was. And of course, these are the old IOs in that cabinet. And some of you might feel a little nostalgic watching this picture on the right. Those are the old boxes that we were working on. Myself, I came from the Unix and VMX world, and I was very proud of using that technology 20 years ago. And we used to have English-speaking user interfaces like these ones. Of course, our operators doesn't speak any English at all. We conducted a vendor evaluation using these criteria. We evaluated, oops, what is it? Sorry. Yeah. This is what we evaluated. Downtime, migration costs, transition impact, financial strength, how well they will support our operations, functionality, which is how friendly the software or the solution is for our operators, and responsiveness. This chart speaks for itself. If you want more details on this, I'll be glad to provide. This was the solution. This is the new system. This is how it looks. The vendor came up with a solution based on, and this is the key for success, for our success. They pre-assemble, pre-configure, and pre-tested everything in the factory. And then they ship it down to our facility for installation. Only for you to know, we migrated approximately 2,700 I/O points. That's a lot, that's huge. And we migrated in 7 working days. That's a big accomplishment. And the key for that accomplishment was that everything was pre-assembled, pre-configured, and pre-tested again. This is how the new system looks now. And tell you something, I come from the IT world. And this, from the IT perspective, is beautiful. I mean, it's just beautiful for me. It's server racks, everything is pretty neat. This is the new control room with new displays, Spanish-speaking operators interfaces, UPSs, PCMs, control modules, and everything is very neat right now. This is how the system looks now. And if you remember slide number 7, Just make a comparison between the old system and this new one. Results. Well, we gained 25% of I/O capacity. In the past, we didn't have any. If someone comes to the DCS guy saying, hey, we need another signal for this part of the process, we didn't have the possibility to do that. Right now, we have 25% of increased capacity. We improved reliability since the old system was working for 20 years. The expectation is that this one is going to work for another 20 years. By the way, it's the same vendor. Oops. We have enhanced integration since right now we are able to interact with other vendors, with other brands, with other manufacturers, with other subsystems, with other package systems. We improved server compatibility. Even though I miss the old Access times, right now we are in the Windows world, in the Windows Server world. And we have HP servers, which you can find spare parts for an HP server everywhere. We are Windows Server now. We have less human intervention now. And it's not like human are bad, but they make mistakes. We have a better way to manage all this new infrastructure. And we have plans now. Now we have plans. In the past, we did not. We have plans to grow, to develop, to do more, to deliver more out of the current DCS system. What we learned, and this is maybe the best part for you to be aware. This is what we learned. Please involve everyone in your organization, everyone. And what I mean everyone is finance, logistics, production, of course, operations, maintenance. Everyone's got to be on board. Please consider all subsystems / package system / satellite systems, or every kind of system that somehow is connected to your current DCS. It's not DCS, but for instance, PLCs. PLCs that somehow are connected to DCS, please consider we run into some issues with some PLCs that I'll tell you later. Be prepared for surprises. The file wiring identification. And of course, the logistics is a big part of the equation here. As you know, I'm from Mexico, and we spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to get past of the Mexican bandidos on the shipping of the items to our site. So logistics was a big part of the concerns. That part that our vendor put for us, the pre-configuring everything, pre-assembling, and pre-testing everything in the factory was the key for the success. Oops, sorry. This is an installation video. Oops, that I want to share. This is how we did it. The pre-assembling and pre-configured infrastructure is here. This guy is removing the old I/O cards, removing the wiring also, and removing the entire panel. Those aluminum panels on the back, he's removing the screws, removing the wiring. Here comes the panel. He's mounting the new one. Everything was pre-assembled in the factory and pre-configured. That is the communication panel. And that is the I/O panel that holds all the I/O signals in that rack. Mounting the power supplies, 24 and 12 VDCs. And that's how it looks now. This guy is rewiring everything one pair at a time. Very careful, because this is the field wiring. And we did this for 33 racks, 2,700 I/O points. And here we go. Thank you very much. I'll be glad to answer any questions. I don't know if today or later.
We'll answer all questions during the Q&A. Thank you, Emilio.
Thank you, Mike.
Appreciate you coming and sharing your story. Thank you.